What is up, bros and broettes? I'm Inkslasher, and I gotta apologize. This video was supposed to come out yesterday, but I was really sick yesterday. I had some sort of flu, had a fever, and I could barely get out of bed. But today I've got the video for you. I'm still a little bit sick, so if I sound funny, I'm sorry about that. But what we're going to be talking about in today's video is something about Blackout that a lot of people have been asking me, and that is simply how exactly does armor work in Blackout? So as we know, in Blackout Battle Royale, there are 3 levels of armor, simply called level 1, level 2, and level 3, and each of them kind of does a different amount of protection against enemies' gunfire. So what I actually did was a bunch of different testing with different levels of armor, different weapons, to actually discover how exactly armor actually works, and it's kind of surprising. And I couldn't really test level 3 armor as much as I wanted to, simply because 1, it's really hard to find, and 2, there is no private matches as of right now in Blackout, so it's hard to find, and there's people constantly trying to kill you. But I did get enough testing done to get a correlation between all the sets of armor and actually find out what exactly they do. So let me start out by showing you exactly how I tested this. So the first thing you have to understand is, I know a lot of people thought that leg and arm damage actually dealt less damage than chest damage, but as it turns out, anywhere to the torso, legs, or arms deals the same amount of damage with most weapons. There's a couple of exceptions with snipers and a couple of SMGs, but for the most part, your chest damage is going to be the same as your arms and legs. Of course, your headshot damage is going to be more than normal, but we'll get to that when we actually talk about level 3 armor. So the first thing that we tested was the ICR, and the way that we tested this is we went the same range away every single time. We shot the same area on the body, so in this case it was the chest, and then we measured it against the various levels of armor. So for example, the first one we did here is the ICR with absolutely no armor, and this one dealt 32 damage per bullet. After this, we did the same thing with level 1 armor, and as it turned out, the damage that the ICR did to level 1 armor was 23 damage to the player, and in turn was blocking 9 damage total coming in. This was a total of about 28% of the damage block. On top of that, the level 1 armor could take a total of 60 damage from the ICR before it actually broke. So after this, we moved on to level 2 armor, and as we found, it blocked 37.5% of the damage coming in. So the amount of damage it was dealing to the player was 20 damage per bullet. Now, the armor would absorb up to 84 damage from incoming bullets, and then it would break. Now, when we got to level 3 armor, things change here a little bit, because level 3 armor blocks damage to the body and also protects against headshots. But as it turns out, the level 3 armor does the exact same thing no matter where you get shot. It blocks about 50% of the incoming damage and absorbs in about 100 damage total. So basically, headshots with the ICR were dealing 17 damage, the normal damage of a headshot being 35 damage, whereas the normal body shots with the ICR were dealing 16 damage. In other words, in both cases, it was absorbing about 50% of the total damage. So then we went and did a whole bunch of other testing. We tested on a KN57, we did SMGs, we did sniper rifles, you name it, pick a weapon, we probably tested it. So a couple really obvious things you need to know about body armor is, first of all, it protects against bullets and bullets alone. So in other words, it's not going to protect you from explosions, it's not going to protect you from getting run over, it just protects you from getting shot. So then as we tested more and more weapons, I believe the weapon you're watching here is the KN57, what we found is that the numbers didn't line up perfectly. For example, level 2 armor didn't always block 37.5% of damage. However, the numbers were very close. So close, in fact, that we could make a pretty good correlation between the different armors and what they actually do. So let's start by looking at level 1 armor. So level 1 armor is pretty simple. Level 1 armor is going to block between 28 and 30% of the total incoming damage, and that's going to depend on the weapon. For example, the ICR blocked 28%, whereas the KN57 blocked 30%. Now also, the other stat we have to look at is how much damage can a piece of armor block before it actually breaks. So for example, level 1 armor can block between 55 and 60 damage. Once it takes that much damage, it is going to break. And once again, this depends on the weapon you are getting shot by. The next set of armor is, of course, level 2, and this one's going to block between 37 and 38%, once again, depending on the weapon. Similarly, level 2 armor is going to break between 84 and 90 damage. So once it absorbs that amount of damage, it will then break. Once again, this depends on what type of weapon and specifically how much damage each individual weapon does. And then finally, we have level 3 armor. The special part about level 3 is it is the only set of armor that actually protects against headshot damage, and level 3 armor is going to block between 49 and 50% of incoming damage. Basically, it depends on whether a weapon does an even amount of damage or an odd amount of damage. If it does an even amount of damage, it's going to be 50%. If it does an odd amount of damage, it is going to be 49% damage. And as far as level 3 armor, it can absorb between 100 and 110 damage, once again, depending on what weapon it's being shot by. So I know I threw out a lot of numbers there, percentages, and if it was too confusing for you, I'll give you a very, very basic breakdown of how this actually works. Essentially, level 1 armor is going to add 2 bullets to kill, level 2 armor is going to add 3 bullets to kill, and level 3 armor is going to add 4 bullets to kill. In a very, very basic sense, it's not going to work that way with every weapon, especially not sniper rifles, but for most assault rifles and tactical rifles, that's the way that's going to work. But like I said, that's a very basic explanation, and if you want exact numbers, use the numbers I gave to you at the beginning of the video. So then the big question from here is, why are the numbers different based on which weapon you are using? And the reason is it comes down to one individual rule that every piece of armor follows, and that is, if there is only a very small sliver of health left on a piece of armor, it will still block an entire bullet of incoming damage. So for example, if you're using a level 2 piece of armor, and it only has a sliver of health left, it will still block the full 38% of incoming damage. Same with level 1, it'll block the full 28% of incoming damage, even if there is just a small sliver left. So then the big question that everyone is asking is, what point should you trade your level 2 armor in for level 1 or level 3 in for level 2 if your armor is damaged? And it's kind of difficult, and once again, it depends on what type of weapon is shooting you, but the most basic, very most basic way to actually look at it is basically a level 2 armor that has been hit by 2 bullets is now almost the same as a undamaged level 1 armor. It's still a little bit better, but it's very, very similar. So the basic rule of thumb is, if your level 2 armor is hit by 3 bullets, you'll want to trade it in to level 1 armor. If your level 3 armor is damaged by 4 bullets, you want to change it in for level 2 armor. That is the most very basic way of looking at it. The only thing you have to account for is that your level 3 armor does protect against headshots, whereas your level 2 armor won't. And as far as changing your level 3 armor in for level 1 armor, you're almost never going to do that. 1, because of the headshot protection, and 2, because level 3 is just that much better. But if your level 3 armor simply has like a very small sliver of health left, that's when you would consider trading it in for a level 1. So then the final question I wanted to address is, what is the easiest way to take out an opponent's armor? And really, if I'm being honest with you, there is no easy way, but there are certain weapons that do a better job of it than others. The basic rule of thumb when looking at this is, the more damage a weapon does, the better it's going to actually take out someone's armor. The reason for that is essentially, the more damage a weapon does, the less bullets actually have to hit to destroy the armor as a whole. For example, if you're using an SMG is going to take a lot more bullets to actually destroy armor than something like a tactical rifle or a sniper rifle. Also, if you run into someone using level 3 armor, headshots are going to destroy the armor faster than normal body shots. The reason being, headshot multipliers still apply to headshots with someone using body armor. Therefore, it'll take less bullets to actually destroy the body armor if you are getting headshot. So guys, those are all the tips and tricks I can give you guys. Hopefully you found the numbers I gave you a little bit helpful. Hopefully it gives you a better idea of how body armor actually works in Blackout. It's oddly a very confusing system that they put into the game compared to something like Fortnite's, where it literally just gives you extra health. So like I said, kind of confusing, but hopefully I made it simple for you guys. Now, if you enjoyed the video, I would very much appreciate it if you could hit hit that like button. All of the testing, trying to find all the level 3 armor in game took forever, so I would really appreciate it if you could hit that like button. It would really help out the channel. Also, I'm curious what you guys actually think of body armor in Blackout. Do you like the way that it works? Do you think they could choose a better system, more similar to maybe Fortnite's? Let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say. Also, if you want to stay up to date on all my videos, the best way to do so is make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you have notifications turned on. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're making it.